Joe.
Hi, David. How are you?
Got you? Yeah, very well, thank you, Joe. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. I'm all
awesome.
Good,
Where are you calling in from?
So calling in from Worcester in the UK.
Very nice. The Midlands.
Yeah.
Is it as rainy as London?
It's finally stopped, but to be grateful, it's good to have finally have some rain here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's been very, if anybody not in the UK, it's been very hot recently, and we're not used to that at all. Joe, thank you so much for joining us and being so brave as to do a bit of a role play with us. Just to start off with, if we could get a little bit of context over yourself, obviously your product offering, and we'd also like to know about your persona, so we can hopefully tailor our role play a little bit more to you.
Cool. So I'm the business development manager here at Avalion. Avalion, we're an information security consultancy operating, pen testing, data protection, cybersecurity, ISO implementation and management. Sort of the background is I joined the business at the back end of last year. They'd never made a cold call, a proactive approach, anything before I joined. And to be honest with you, I've been operating as a sales leader for about 10 years before this. So I hadn't made a cold call for about 10 years myself. So it's all developing that go-to-market strategy, everything around that. I've actually got a couple of my SDRs in the background watching this and listening to this. So there's no pressure at all on me.
None at all. You got it.
That is leading from the front, Joe. And we love to see it.
Yeah, we love to see it. It's absolutely.
So our key sort of target market is tech focused businesses, somewhere sort of between that seed funding and Series B funding position. So to be honest, someone like Cognism a couple of years ago would have been a prime target for us because of all the various compliance and legislative demands that you have, and our services would fit completely into your sort of into a company like you very well. And what we're doing is we're deliberately targeting tech companies in that earlier stage because it allows us to expand with them. We're doing a land and expand sales methodology here where we're putting ourselves at a very aggressive price point where we come in delivering one of the more transactional services we sell, most likely the pen testing or the data protection services we offer. But then as we embed ourselves in the company, we can offer further and deeper sales. And I'm really lucky with here is all the consultants are very involved in the sales process. And we've got some really hard-hitting, experienced people, former CIO of the UK Army, head of business continuity for Visa for 37 sites across Europe, the guy who set up the cyber services division of Capita in the mid-2000s, some good heavy hitters behind me, really.
That's awesome. And what persona are you targeting? I'm assuming it's on maybe the legal CEO side.
CTOs is our prime focus, or CIOs or CISOs, but generally, the most senior technical person within those organizations.
Okay. Morgan, have you got all that?
I do. I'm going to do my best to be a CTO here, but I wrote it down, so I will be the prospect here.
I am throwing you straight under the bus and making you the prospect first.
Hey, look, I'm ready to go. I'll be a CTO as much as I can. So, well, that's what we'll do.
Perfect. Awesome. Cool. Well, if you're happy, Joe, by tradition you have to start off with a little ring, and people in the comments have to judge your ring as well.
Okay, no problem there. So ring.
Hello.
Hi, is that Morgan?
This is me.
Yeah, hi Morgan. It's Joe Alsop here calling from Avalion. How are you?
I'm all right.
Okay, good. Morgan, I was just following up an email I sent to you recently around penetration testing and ISO implementation. Did you see that at all?
No, I get thousands of emails a day, so I definitely didn't get that.
No, I completely appreciate that. And to be honest, that was the reason I was reaching out for a call. I could imagine someone like you would always be getting hundreds, if not thousands of emails a day. The reason I specifically reached out to you, Morgan, is we've been working with a number of similar companies, these tech-focused companies that have got a lot of legislative and compliance demands, particularly supporting in those two areas I mentioned, their penetration testing needs and their ISO implementation. And we've seen a dramatic actually increase, particularly in the penetration testing requirements of those businesses over the course of this year. That's really been led by that increased supply risk management, that vendor due diligence that all of us are really starting to experience now. And that's the reason I reached out to you. There's a couple of companies we could go through I've worked with in a very similar way. I just wanted to understand really how you guys look after your pen testing needs there.
Yeah, I mean, sounds like a lot of different pieces there. I mean, as of right now, we have an internal team that's looking into that. We've looked at some other solutions. We didn't really feel like it was a fit for us, and what we're doing right now, we're pretty solid with. So, if you want to send me an email with more information, like that might be more applicable here.
Yeah, of course. I've got no problem following up this conversation with an email. You said you looked into a couple of solutions there, just so I can get an idea of where you are and what's going on. Those solutions you were talking about, was that sort of around the manual side of the penetration testing, or were they automated software-based solutions?
Yeah, I mean, it was more on the manual side. My team said that's something that they wanted to dive more into. Whether that was right or not, I mean, we're determined to see that. But that's what they said that we needed to do.
Yeah, and that's what we offer. We're CREST accredited pen testers here, so we are doing that manual solution. It's not 100% manual, as any good penetration testing tester will tell you. You need to use a suite of tools as part of that arsenal when you are completing a penetration test within a company, because any of the malicious hackers are going to be using tools themselves. But yeah, we do. It's really about focusing on the manual side of things that we do here. And that's why, we've had a lot of engagement, because one of the things that I can be very proud of our pen testers to say is we've engaged with a number of companies recently where they've had pen tests before and been given the all clear. And actually, when our guys have had a go, they've actually discovered some very serious vulnerabilities that have been legacy issues. There was actually an example, one of the guys did a test a couple of weeks ago and was able to get domain authority as a result of one of those legacy issues, even though 3 pen tests had been completed previously that should have discovered that vulnerability.
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate, I've called you out the blue here, Morgan. But just really, I'd like to sort of arrange a call that we could have a more deeper discussion around this, really get an idea of your business in a deeper way, because one of the things that we do here is we make sure we take a pragmatic approach to any of the clients that we work with. We're not going to overly prescribe and say, we need you to pen test your app, your web application, your APIs,
for sure.
and infrastructure. For
sure. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, sounds like a couple things, could be aligned. I would say like the best thing right now, we're heads down on a couple projects. If you could maybe reach out to me in a month, I think I'd be able to schedule that call.
Okay, I've got no problem doing that. I've got you on the call now, so why don't we pencil something in for that month's time when you're probably not going to be as busy as you are now. I'll make sure I follow up in the run up to that. If there's any problems, obviously we can move it, but if not, it means we've both got that time aside and we can really get a deep conversation, and I can see if we are the sort of consultancy that would be able to adequately support you.
Yeah, no, that works with me.
Perfect. Are we happy to finish there, or do you want me to?
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
We'll
give you a good job going first. We'll give you a round of applause there. Hopefully, everyone in the chat give him a round of applause as well. Give him a little round of applause. So I can go first, David, and then I can pass it off to you. I wrote down a couple things. So Joe, again, you went first here. Hopefully, you didn't have too much of a heart attack as you were doing these. Hopefully, your team would give you a round of applause on this as well. So the couple things that I really liked, and I was writing this down. Every time I gave you an objection, you were like, "Oh, that's cool," and then you moved on pretty quickly. I really like that, right? I gave you the email one, and somehow we kept talking. I wanted to see what you were going to do with that when you handled that well. And then I said, yeah, reach out in a month, and you got time, right? You're like, no, we're actually going to like schedule some time here. And we would have like obviously like gotten the email and stuff, but we knew the call was over at that point. What I also really liked is that you came in with use cases and also examples of how people do certain things. Obviously, I don't know everything about the CTO and all those different things. So you probably could have gone deeper there, but I liked how you were able to manufacture that conversation. The only thing that I would consider here is, and this is a personal thing, I don't know what David says, or if people in the chat can also maybe talk to this as well. I recommend people to not mention that you sent an email, because what ends up happening is that like 98% of the time they're going to say no, they didn't see it, and there's a rare chance where they do, and at that point they probably would have seen it and maybe responded. So I don't even talk about what, hey, I sent you an email, check it out. I more so I say, hey, here's the reason for my call, and I just say what was probably in the email anyways, right? So that's like my one consideration that you had, but I think this call overall was good and you did a good job.
Cheers.
Awesome. Yeah, Joe, I would echo a lot of what Morgan said. Lots of positives. I think one thing that I teach so much is how important it is to recognize an objection. And so although you moved on quickly, which is very important, you still recognized it. Morgan said that he wanted an email, and you said, yeah, that's no problem at all. I can send it straight after this. And some people miss that. They just kind of say, cool, and then jump into statements or like kind of the next question. So it's good that you're really, really good that you're recognizing those objections. Have you outside perspective looking in, I think one thing that I'm not a CTO either, this introduction, your hook statement, for me, I'm trying to make that 1-2 lines maximum. Like I'm really trying to,
like his value prop.
Yeah, the value prop.
Yeah.
Like I'm really keen. I think the best conversations are always ones where they go two-way, and perhaps this is a little bit different from normal because Morgan couldn't go as two-way as the normal CTO because of the understanding gap. But that initial statement, I'd be thinking of ways of shortening that down so you can start getting into that discussion, because whether it be CTOs or anybody else, I think people naturally just switch off, and so if you keep it too long, then you can lose that engagement. So that'd be like my one of my comments. And then the only other comment is the data that comes straight from Cognism's own Salesforce is that we, as a team, we don't any meetings booked for any longer than 10 days in advance. We have a 4 times drop-off rate. Mm-hmm. So our drop-off rate, so if we book the next day, it's like an 8% drop-off rate in the UK right now. It depends regionally. If you book a meeting in Germany, everybody turns up all the time. But 8% in the UK. But if you do it more than 10 days out, then it's about a 30% drop-off rate. So I would just consider, and again, like maybe this is something you considered already, I would just really consider, like, if people are asking to book a month out, trying your best first and foremost to try and keep that to as close as possible. If you can, at least, I advise always pushing back at least once, right, on those kind of statements. That, again, like, there's obviously lots of schools of thought, and it depends on the persona, but that's kind of like my personal experience. But overall, really, really great job, Joe. And thank you so much for being so brave.
No problem at all. And I really appreciate the feedback, guys. Really do.
Awesome.
Sweet. Thank you, Joe.